Hey folks, Piano Man Steve here, creator of the Piano Man Approach online piano course. Today we have a song demonstration video. So full disclosure, this is not one of my note-for-note tutorials all the way through. We might very well do one of those eventually for this song. But what we're looking at today is sort of a demonstration of how you can quickly learn this song and pretty much any song that you want, at least a credible version of it, and get moving with it pretty fast. If you know the basic principles of the Piano Man approach, which are chords, rhythm patterns, and improv techniques, and if you use my sort of magic 5-step song learning formula, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. And so what I'm going to do now is just change the view on the screen so that you can see over the top of my hands and my cute little animated piano there. Yeah, just like that. So that we can do a little bit of teaching here. So I'm going to walk you through how you could take a song like Sacrifice by Elton John here and use my song learning formula and, of course, like I say, the 3 pillars of my piano approach, which is chords, rhythm patterns, and improv, to quickly start doing something pretty cool with this song. We're going to be in the key of C today. Now, it was originally recorded in the key of D flat, but I've actually seen printed sheet music for this in C. It's like they decided to put it out in C so it would be more approachable to more people. And I think considering the number of folks who are going to watch this who are on the more beginner side of things, it'll be an easier key for them to approach and get something out of this. And of course, a more advanced student can simply transpose the chords up a half step and use the very same principles. So we're going to work in the key of C here today. And what we want to start with is, what is the 5-step song learning formula? So I'm going to bring it up on the screen here. It's the glide formula, all right? It's 5 steps, and it kind of works nicely into this acronym of glide. So step number 1, we get the chords. Now, there are going to be options online for free, although those are getting sketchier and sketchier. So you may want to go to some place like Hal Leonard and actually buy it, and then you know that you'll have, pretty close, if not perfectly accurate, you'll have awfully close to accurate chords for the songs that you buy there. But you can try your luck at things like ultimateguitartabs.com and whatnot. But you need the chords and the lyrics. That's the important thing. Not all that important that you have written notation, because we're largely going to ignore that. The only time that written notation comes in handy for the Piano Man approach is if you already know how to read music and someone has done a good job of writing out a signature line. So you might get some benefit from the notation on playing. But your mileage may vary even with that. So what we're going to do is, first we get the chords. Second step after you've done that is L, listen to the song. So what you might want to do is pause this and just have a listen to the recording, because you want it to be you want to be familiar with the song. After you've listened to the song, now we identify the feel, and that's where we're going to choose a rhythm pattern to plug these chords into. If you have my crash course, then you already know that there's 4 essential feels, all right? There are 4 essential feels. There's a lot of different variations you can do on each of those 4, but we have what I call the basic feel, which is sort of a quarter note going on in the left hand. That's probably not going to be it. It's a human sign when things go wrong. That might work for that Cold, Cold Heart that he did with Dua Lipa. But for the original Sacrifice, that's probably not going to work. There's a country feel. That's probably not going to be it either. So what you do is you try the chords out in these rhythm patterns and see which one feels right along with that with that recording. And so what we come to there is this is not a hoedown, so it's a human sign when things go wrong. All right, so we know that's not going to be it. There's a waltz feel. We know that's not going to be it because this song's got 4 beats per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And waltzes are for things that have 3 beats per measure. So that leaves us with one essential feel left, which I call the syncopated feel, or as we affectionately call it, the heartbeat, where we put a little heartbeat in the bass. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, like that. Now, we teach that originally with just quarter notes on a chord in the right hand. The right hand is less important. The rhythmic integrity is your left hand. Your left hand is your rhythm section, drums and bass. It's a human sign when things go wrong, when the scent of her lingers, temptation strong. So once you've got sort of like the essential feel, what we want to do is go on to step 4, which is drill it down. And what we want to do there is we want to take the simplest version of the chords and just the simplest, easiest version of the rhythm pattern. All of this, by the way, we teach all of this in my crash course, which you can learn all about down in the video description, and go learn more at the links in there. So I won't drone on about that. But anyway, you want to learn this very, very simply first. You don't want to put any frills in. You just want to get your hands used to moving to the right chords while playing this rhythm pattern. So to drill it down, it would be something like this: C chord, F chord, D minor chord, G chord, C chord, F chord, D minor, G. Now, why does this matter? Well, obviously, if you don't know how to play from chord symbols, if you don't know how to form chords based on a chord symbol or on me yelling out what chord it is to play, then this means very little. But if you do learn chord symbols, now all of a sudden you are able to like really, really jump ahead in a song. Anytime you pick a song up, you're able to learn it very quickly and do something interesting with it very, very quickly, because once you have those and you learn a few rhythm patterns to deploy, now you're like an acoustic guitar player. You know those guys who it's like they can take that thing out and they can busk on the sidewalk, and they can, you know, they can play it. They can play about any song they want, some simplified version of it very, very quickly, whether they're in the area where you get on in the subway, or they're, like I say, on the sidewalk, or it's just around a campfire, or just with friends. What we want to do is apply that same principle to the piano. So when you learn a rhythm pattern like this, which we go through, there's some kind of simple things you can practice right on your lap, clapping to get the hand independence down, and then all of a sudden, any chord you want to play, you can simply plug it into that rhythm pattern, and we've got this going. Really simple or really fast little lesson on this particular one. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I like to think of it like this: George Washington, 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 Washington in the left hand. George Washington, 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 Washington. And up here, George Washington, Washington, Washington. And all of a sudden, you got yourself a rhythm pattern. You can play a major chord, a minor chord, diminished chord, augmented chord, you name it. You can do whatever you want with it. So that's just a kind of a real brief rundown of how we do that. But anyway, so now you drill it down and you get the chord sequence under your hands, nice and comfortable, so that you're comfortable with where the song is going and what chord moves to what chord and all of that. Now, the last step is enhance with simple improv techniques. Okay, and we teach a lot of simple simple improv techniques that are kind of based on the chord that you're already playing. All right, and so enhancing not just means fills and licks and solos, but it also means this is where you start looking at ways to vary and manipulate your rhythm pattern a little bit to fit the song a little better. We know it needs that syncopation, right? But we're going to look at some different things that we can do, some different ways we can express that rhythm pattern that maybe fit sacrifice a little bit better. Okay? So, one of my favorite things to do is toggling, which is when you take the top part of a chord and play it with the top part of your hand, and then kind of toggle back and forth between that and your thumb. And you don't have to do it on every single note, but it's a nice thing to throw in every once in a while. So it could be. Okay. Now, let's think about this for a second. This is kind of a laid-back song, right? It's a dreamy kind of ballad, and it feels maybe a little bit busy with this constant quarter notes going on up here in the right hand. So what can we do to make this, to keep our sort of syncopated rhythmic structure going, but how do we make it more laid back? How do we make it more appropriate to sacrifice, right? So maybe instead of playing constantly quarter notes, we just go. So see what I'm doing is I'm playing 1, 2, 4, 1, 2. By leaving out the third beat, or just leaving out some beats so it's not a constant quarter note drone, see how different that makes it sound. I mean, check this out. Like with constant quarter notes, you have. Now, check that against just leaving that third beat out, how much more it lays it back, even though we're in the same tempo. It's a human sign. Things go wrong when the scent of her lingers, temptation strong into the boundaries. Okay, now what else can we do? Well, maybe we employ a little bit of a toggle there. None of this has to be done like an automaton, all right? I'm just showing you some different combinations of things that you can do. But these can be choices that you're literally making right in the moment, if you want. It's about building a toolkit full of great tools that you can call on any chord that you're playing. So maybe we go 1, 2. And then toggle, thumb, da, ba, right? 1, 2, and 4, and just playing chords. And by the way, some of you may not be familiar with this, but every chord can be played in a different combination of notes. So an F chord, for example, is made up of these three notes, F, A, C. Okay, that's an F major chord. Doesn't matter if you play it here or if you play it here, A, C, F, or here, C, F, A. All right, they each have their own sort of, the voicing that you're choosing has its own sort of unique sound, but it's still sonically an F major chord. So it's not really a problem to play it in any one of those. And what I tend to do a lot of is just sort of choose the inversion that's closest to where I am, and my hand sort of slowly works its way up and back down the keyboard that way. And you can do a toggle on any inversion of a chord. If you're here, this is a C chord. Same could be done here or here. So that doesn't matter, but I'm just letting you know what I'm up to. So let's try this just for fun. We're going to go 1, 2, and toggle. 1, 2, and toggle. Right? It's a human sign when things go wrong, when the scent of her lingers, temptation strong, into the boundaries of each married man. Okay, now that's really starting to sound a lot smoother. Now, what else could we do? Is there something we could do to the left hand? Well, I don't think we want to lose the thump, 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 but maybe we can do something to make it a little more laid back than just octave, thump, 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 right? So what if it was... So... one octave together, and then pinky thumb. Thump. Now, this is a little bit advanced. It's not the most complicated thing in the world, but I understand if you're struggling with hand independence, you know, just executing the simple form of the rhythm pattern, then, you know, you don't need to try this right now. Like, just work at the level that you're at. But I want to show a broad array of different choices. What I love about this method of playing is that you always have choices, okay? And you might zero in on some that you like the most, and you might play it largely that way most of the time when you play it. But what I love most about this is because of the availability of choices, it's a very fresh experience to play all the time, because at any moment you could play it just slightly different than you've ever done before. And so the song stays alive. That's how Elton John actually plays the piano. He does not just play the same exact thing every single time. There's always a little bit of nuance. The essence is intact. It's got to be there, otherwise people wouldn't recognize the song. But the sort of subtle nuances of how he's executing it shift a little bit every single time he plays, and it's because of little tools like this. He's got go-to maneuvers that he can deploy on any chord and in various different ways. So it's like I can use the same 5 or 6 little licks or fills, but I can do them on any type of chord and in any inversion of a chord, and they sound just slightly different each time. And so little changes like that are there all the time, and it keeps it fresh. It keeps it kind of a new, alive experience for him. Okay? So, but here we go. Let's try... try that in the left hand, and let's try this. In the right hand, like we've been doing, and see how this sounds. It's a human sign when things go wrong, when the scent of her lingers, temptation strong, into the boundaries. So see how just a little bit of manipulation, just a little bit of enhancement, a little ornamentation, just a slightly different sort of crack at what we were doing. Same concept. We haven't lost any of the primary things that were there from just the sort of the essential feel and, you know, the rhythmic structure of all that, but we made a couple of little tweaks, and all of a sudden we went from this to this. The human sign when things go wrong, when the scent of her lingers, temptation strong, into the boundaries of each married man. Okay, and there's a bunch of different other things that you could do to enhance it. You could be adding what I call money notes, like the call it the added 9 or the 2. So instead of playing a C chord like this, you could be replacing or either adding in or even just replacing the 3 with the 2 like this. So it's really cool what you can do. Now, that's an accompaniment style, but you could then take that same thing, and then there's a 4-step add-on if you wanted to put the melody in with it with your right hand that I call flow. And step 1 is you find the melody. That's where some sheet music might actually come in handy. You could read just the top line if you're a reader, or you can, if you've got some simple ear training exercises, which we work on in my right hand melody and ear training course, for example, where you just train your ear a little bit to be able to pick out the melody, because you only need to pick out one note at a time, or various other ways. But you find the melody. Step 2 is L, F-L. You lay it in to the simple foundation. There's the melody. So now we're just going to put it with that simple rhythm pattern. Now, once you have that really, really good and solid, now the next step is, ornament. And that's where we take all of the cool stuff that we already had kind of worked on before, and we try to work that around. Plus, you ornament the melody a little bit. You can harmonize with it. You can do what I call pinky anchoring or thumb anchoring, where you just kind of hold a note underneath it as harmony, but you don't have to follow it around, so it'd be like it just kind of holds as a sustained note. And of course, you return to the rhythm pattern ideas in between, in the little gaps between the melody. So you end up with things like this. And obviously I go into a lot of detail about how to do that sort of thing in my right-hand melody and ear training course. But the point is, the reason I'm using this demonstration video as opposing to just showing you note for note how to play this song. And like I say, maybe I'll do that. I don't really do that for anything other than occasional Billy Joel and Elton John songs because of how much I love those guys and how connected I am to the fan community, and that's great. And it's fun for signature lines and stuff. But really, my purpose as a teacher is to show people these tools that they can use, because I want you to have transferable skills that you can take to any song, not just this one. I don't just want to give you a fish. I want to teach you to fish. I want you to be able to feed yourself on great music for a lifetime, you know? And when you have that, these things are available to you to use in a million different ways, in a million different songs. Every genre, every era, you know, all popular music, going all the way back to the early part of the 20th century, all the way to the current day, whether you're talking about rock, pop, country, standards, folk, dance music, metal, you name it, it's all based on this kind of stuff. And the joy of my life has come from having these tools and being able to recreate the music that I love. And obviously I'm very advanced with it at this point in time because I've been doing it for 30 years. But you can learn the basics of this very, very quickly and start having a lot of fun. And then you have as much time as you want to dedicate to practicing to keep watching your skills level up and level up and level up and level up. And it's a never-ending journey. So that's what the purpose of this is. And I love this song, and I just thought it would be a great one to showcase some of these techniques with. So I hope that you've enjoyed this demonstration. And I know that this is not necessarily designed so that by the end of this, if you don't know anything about these principles, that you're just going to be able to walk away and play it. But I want you to see what's possible if you just learn some foundational tools, because this method of playing is much, much more approachable, much more digestible, and much quicker to pick up than reading notes on a staff. And reading notes on a staff is a wonderful skill, and I am not here to trash it, but I can tell you that it drives more people away from the piano than it brings in, which is really sad because there's a lot of people out there who really do want to be able to make music, and they get the false impression from being inserted into the sort of notes on the staff matrix, if you will, that they're not talented enough, or they don't, you know, that they just don't have what it takes. And that really isn't true. It's just that that method is designed for a different kind of music from a different era and a different idea. And it really is designed, the only people that get very good at it tend to be pretty virtuosic. And that's not what most people are going to be. Most people are hobbyists. And I just want them to know that they don't have to only play ukulele and acoustic guitar. The same kind of thing is available right here on piano. So I'm going to get out of here for now. Thanks for joining me. I hope that this has been somewhat enlightening. And if you're interested in this technique and this method and you want to learn more about it, there's some links down there in the video description all about the Piano Man approach. You can learn everything that you want to learn and get the course if you're interested. So thank you very much for taking a look at that. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share this with anyone who might be interested, and please leave a comment to let me know if you have any questions or whatever questions or comments or whatever it is that you're thinking. So thanks a lot, guys. I will see you on the next one. And remember, if you're not having fun when you're making music, you're doing it wrong. See you on the next one.